Let's begin our first lesson. The first thing we want to do is click on the Learn link, and that is going to open up our Getting Started with Tinkercad. And in our first tutorial, we talked about doing a bat button. So I'm going to scroll down to see if I can find that. It's under Buttons. Here it is. And the very first thing you need to do is just click on the Begin Lesson. And before you do that, this is the end product that we'll be doing, and it'll look like this in Tinkercad. So I click on Begin Lesson, and as you look here, it shows you the Tinkercad 3D software that we'll be using. And down here at the bottom we have the instructions. So please feel free to go ahead and work through each of the steps as quickly as you want. This tutorial is designed if you have a problem with the software, or if you get stuck, you can come back and look at the tutorial and maybe find a spot that you maybe skipped or didn't understand. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the first lesson here, and at the bottom it says, in this lesson you'll learn to design a bat button. So get started now. We'll click on the next button, and it says drag a box shape to the work plane. Over here on the right side we have the geometric shapes that we'll be using, and there's some other tools that we'll be using on later on in some of our lessons. But for right now it says drag the box button. So we're going to click on that and bring it over, and they've given us an outline where it needs to go to, and we just need to drag it over and place it in the outline shape. And we're ready to go on to step number 2. And it says scale it smaller to a height of 8 millimeters and a size of 16 by 30 millimeters. Move it to the area outlined in orange. So I'm just going to kind of move in a little bit here so we can see this better. And so we're going to drop this down to 8 millimeters, and then we're going to go to 16 by 30. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to go out to 30 here, and then I'm going to drag in to about 16 if I can get that. So right now I'm at 16 by 30, and then I'm going to click on the next button, and here it says we need to drag a cylinder hole shape to the work plane. And if you look up here, we have color, and then we have hole. A hole is like it's going to cut out a shape in our original rectangular box here. So I'm just going to drag out a cylinder, and it fits right in there fairly smoothly, and then I'm going to click on the hole. So now it will cut out, and you can kind of see it there. It's cutting out a part of the rectangular box. I'm going to click on next. It says scale it down, and again it gives us the outline that we should be using, and that's just a guide for us to make sure that we are on track of completing the lesson, because again we're starting this. This is our very first lesson together. Okay, so scale it down to a height of 8 millimeters. So I click on the white square at the top, and I'm going to go down to 8 millimeters, and then I'm going to select it again, and then it says choose a diameter of 8 millimeters. So I'm going to go in to 8 here also. And it takes a little time to kind of get this correct, to go up and over a little bit. And there we go, and I'm just going to drag that over here. And so again we can see that it's cutting out a little bit of that. The next part here is we're going to make several copies or duplicates of the cylinder that we just made. And the easiest way to do this is just hold down your Alt key. And if I hold down my Alt key, it just duplicates it. And I'll drag one here, and you can see it's just duplicating it. And I want to just fill in these areas here. And I just keep doing that. I'm just holding down my Alt key, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. So this is not, I'm going to move that down a little bit, and I'm I'm just going to hold down my Alt key again and drag it over. Well, that didn't work very well. So I'm going to undo. So I just go up here to Edit, and I'm going to undo this. I was thinking it had an undo, but I'm just going to hit Control Z and go back. And again, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so I can see it better. Alt, and this is a little tricky, like I just grabbed the rectangle, so let me make sure I've got that selected. Alt, bring that over again. Again, you'll make these mistakes like I do. And select it again. Alt, bring it over. Go back here, select. And you can select any of these as we go along. Again, I selected the wrong thing. Make sure I've got that selected. Alt, and I'm going to go over, select it one more time, and this is my last one. So again, I've selected, I've done that, let's see, 7 times. And over here, they wanted you to change the snap grid to 0.5, but I think we're okay with just the 1.0. Okay, so let's go on to our next. And it says let's drag another cylinder, and we want to make it a hole shape after we drag it out. So I'm going to take a cylinder, and I'm going to bring that in up here, and we're going to make it a hole shape, and I bet they're going to have us change the diameter. So here again we can see what shape we want to make it here. So we want to go to a height of 8, and again you get fairly used to the way the system works, and we're going to go out to, I'm going to hold down my Shift key here to keep this even, and we're going to go way out to 50. Let's keep going here to 50. There we go. And again, I'm going to change that. What I did there is I held down my Shift key, which I shouldn't have done. I'm just going to go back to 8 here. And then we can drag this over, and it should fit right in there. Okay. And again, you're going to make mistakes like I do doing this. And I've changed it to a hole, right? And I'm going to click Next. And now it says select all items, group them by pressing the group button at the top of the table or toolbar menu. So up here, it's not highlighted yet, but it's up here. So I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to group everything. The way I do that is first I'm going to move this out just a little bit so I can group it easier. If I select here at the right hand or top left hand corner, I drag across, it groups everything, and then I can click on group, and then you can see that how that cut that out, okay, from these different cylinders that we've used. I'm going to click on Next, and we can see now it says let's make the head of the bat, drag a box shape out. So I'm going to look for the box shape. There it is. I'm going to drag it out, place it in the outline area, click Next, scale it to a smaller height. Again, our height is usually 8, so we're going to go down to 8, and then we're going to change the size to 4 by 5 millimeters. So we're really going to shrink this down, but I'm going to scroll in here just a little bit, and I'm going to drag that over here so it's out of the way. And we are going to go into, and I can kind of just use that as a guide. That's a little easier. And there's the head, and then we want to do another cylinder here. Drag that in, place that here, and click Next, and it says scale it to a smaller diameter, and so we can do that. I'm going to have to scroll out, and we're going to go to about 5, it looks like. I'm going to go by 5 by 5, and I'm going to go this way a little bit. Keep going, one more, and then we're going to move that over and place it in here. And the reason that is not quite lining up, we can go back and change this to, hopefully I don't know if I can get to it here. We'll keep it there, but you can change that to 0.5 if you wanted to. Let's see if I can do that again. Go down here to 0.5. I went off the screen just a little bit there. And it says scale it down to the 5 millimeter. Move it to the area highlighted in orange. Press and hold the Shift button and select the box and cylinder hole. So we want to hold down the Shift button and select the box right here. But before I do that, I need to make sure I have done this correctly. I'm going to go back, and we want to make that a hole shape. Okay, so I'm going to go next. I'm going to click on the hole, so it's going to create a hole, and I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select the box. And then I want to group them. And when I group them, it's going to cut out just a little bit, and it looks like I have to move mine over just a hair. Well, that's not going to work because I'm going to have to ungroup it or select it here, and I'm just going to move that over just so it faces a little bit better there. There we go. And now we're going to make sure that's a hole. Hit the Shift key again and select both of these, and then we're going to group it. And you can see now that that's going to take a little bit out of the top there, okay, for the head. Okay, almost done. Just holes for buttons are missing, and so we're just going to drag the cylinder out and click on the next button. So it says, and we want to make a hole shape out of it. We're going to click next, and we're going to change the diameter to 3, so that's going to be quite small. So let's just go in here, up a little bit and over one more, and we're going to place one here, and we can just go up here and edit and copy or duplicate. Let's just duplicate that, and we're going to have another one we can drag over here, and we'll click next, and then we want to select all the items. We're going to group it, and there we go, guys. We can see that the stars come out, and there is our bat button. And they want you to do another lesson, but we will just close this. And again, we can move that by clicking on the arrow to see how we've done our bat button. So really kind of a cool little button there, and you could send that to the 3D printer if you wanted to. And let's just complete our lesson and go on to the next one.